So I beat Killzone, and to sum up the experience, I have a report card right here. We've got a C+ story plopped on top of D gameplay, smashed in with E dialogue, mix in some F relationship between these two main characters, nestled softly around the A+ love story of these two.
Try it, scum.
It was alright, I guess. It was an FPS on a console, and this first-person shooter had a lot of FPS problems. Yeah, look at that shit chug. But I think the worst problem with this game is that it just overstayed its welcome. It was just too long. And honestly, because all the elements of the game are kind of crappy, it being too long just didn't help it. There were times I had fun with the game, especially kind of near the beginning, and halfway through I thought, oh, this is a perfect spot for it to end, but it just didn't. And sadly, some of that is owed up to the weapons being kind of mediocre, honestly. I guess the sounds are okay, but there's so few weapons, and most of them don't have the greatest accuracy. And to be honest, there isn't really a driving force making me want to see what happens next, because the story is fine, it's just not very exciting. I feel like I can see everything coming. Follow that up with some dialogue from characters that just doesn't really feel like it matters, and the best part though is these two. Honestly, it's at least somewhat understandable that this is happening, right? But let's go ahead and get to some gameplay. The game starts out with some cutscene leading right into gameplay, where you learn some tutorial stuff like usual, and then I go into the menu to change some controls. Look at the button remapping in this game. How A+, you know what? If anything else, A+ on button remapping. These first two levels actually do a pretty good job of showing you all the weapons you can get. There's a few that are missing that you only get later in the game, but honestly, you get to see a sniper rifle, a rocket launcher, a couple pistols, a couple auto rifles. It's a good deal. We quickly move into a cityscape where the enemies are actually placed in some pretty good spots, to be honest. They're placed kind of far away and close, but hidden behind things, and it feels like I have to learn where they are to get through the level. I die a few times, which makes sense. I just started the game, and I also put it on hard. By the way, I'm playing on hard. Anyway, this level's a pretty good representation of what they could do with the enemies as you go through the game, and this is one of the few times they actually put more thought, or at least it feels like they put more thought into where the enemy placement is. After blowing up some tanks and killing a bunch of more dudes, you get to meet the general, who gives you some story dump and tells you that there's an issue with the thing that stopped aliens or other people from coming into the planet to kill us, and it doesn't work, so he's got to go reset it with a key, and your guy needs to help them because the Hellgast this is kind of like a surprise attack, and well, they had a defense system and it didn't work the first time they tried it for real. All the tests were fine, and they're like, well, we don't know what happened. It smells of sabotage. But just like many other story points in this game, it's just really dry and kind of boring, and it's just some dudes are like, yep, we gotta do this. Yep, and it's not like dramatic, which I know, whatever, it's be over dramatic, but still, come on, man, give me something to hold on to. Here is the character select screen. You got 4 characters, you get them throughout the story, and each one is different in loadout and slightly in abilities. Rico is a big dude, he's got a big gun, and he takes more damage. Haka can handle the shittiest weapon in the game, the Hellgas rifle, which I made fun of at the beginning in the disc little story. And Luger also comes with stealth stuff. She can be really stealthy, she has a pistol, and she apparently can do some things that the other guys can't, like use ropes or get into inaccessible areas, which is cool and all, but they don't feel different enough. And to be honest with you, on hard, you need to have really good aim, and so when I do unlock the characters, we'll see who I pick. Next, we move through some office buildings and looks like maybe residential areas inside, and you get to see this great animation they were so proud of for the coolers that you shoot, and they do the same animation every time. There you go, there's the animation. I feel like it's gotta be some kind of secret, right? Like shoot all of them or something, because why would they put so much effort into just that one thing? We make what feels like a pretty realistic trek through a city, around in buildings, down, up, all around to get to this like comms tower we're supposed to be reaching with the character, and they did a pretty good job making it feel like you go here. It takes a long time. You've still got the character, and in between each scene there is a new loading zone. You keep the same weapons and you don't get to choose a character, but it's like 3 or 4 loading scenes in each mission and then the next mission, so then you get to pick a character then, and you keep everything in between each of those loading scenes. And you can select a lot of these in the menu if you want to go back to a mission. You can select each individual one, but you just kind of go through. It's pretty neat. They did a good job with that. At the end of all this, we meet Luger, our girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. I don't know. It's some barely love interest. It's not really the main love interest in this game. And then you get a cutscene where you see this human guy who was working with the Hellgast, who was the reason why the defense system didn't go off. He's sabotaged it, which I said earlier. Anyone remembers me saying? But look, he's very mean to this one
one guy, this poor dude, he's just trying to work a job, man. He's not here for the killing. He's here for the job. He needs a job. He's getting treated like shit. This moves us on to another area of city trekking, up higher though, and with a few slight objectives. You have to go activate a bomb, which takes literally seconds, and then you just kill guys, which is, you just get used to killing lots of guys. And we go from the city into an enormous park that we have to trek across for a little while, honestly. There's quite a few enemies. It's very open, and it's hard to see because there's a lot of fog. After a long go in the park, we finally meet our next character, Rico, and then we meet the general again, and he sends us on some more missions further down into like a subway system. And this is where I decide I'm choosing Rico because he looks big, he's got a big gun. And real quick here, let's talk about the guns. His gun is a chain gun, at least that's what they call it, a chain gun. It's very, very accurate for how fast it fires, and its real like drawback is that it needs to cool down. It has a heat meter, and that's much better than having terrible bloom and recoil on your weapon. Yeah, it has some recoil, but it's way more accurate than almost all the other weapons, and because it carries lots of ammo and no reloads, just a heat meter, if you just kind of accurately tap on enemies a few times, they'll die, and you don't have to reload or worry about the heat at all. He's probably one of the best characters to choose. He also takes way more damage from both explosions and from bullets, at least that's what it says in the game guide, and you can kind of tell, especially on hard, you kind of need that. You're gonna get shot a few times, you don't have a choice, because for some reason, the guys who use the Hellgas guns can just aim them better than anyone, and that makes me wonder if Haka, when you unlock him, does better with that gun, because if he did, I would have used him, but I thought, why would I pick a guy who starts with the shittiest gun in the game? Well, I think it probably is a better weapon in his hands, like the other rifle is better in the one dude's hands, and the pistol is better in Luger's hands. So maybe each person has an actual gun specialty. I never figured it out, and there's no way to know for sure unless I went and tested, and I beat the game. I didn't test, sorry. Our next mission is to actually save the fourth character, Haka, and if you can imagine, when you find out that he's half human, half Helgen, this creates problems in the group. I mean, Rico doesn't like the Hellgast. He does not like them because they kill people, so I can at least understand, but, you know, it feeling a little... Anywho, this mission takes us into the slums in the subway section, so we have to go through all of them, and it's quite a long trek again. It's just, everything is fairly drawn out. I think everything needed to be just a little shorter, and had the game be two to 3 hours shorter, would have been great. Our goal is to take Haka to the docks, and to do this we have to go through the countryside around beaches where there are ships that have let soldiers out and you have to fight all of them. It's also a very long section where you fight lots of guys, there are tanks, and that's about it. There isn't really that much there's no special stuff. That's why I'm kind of going through this quick. There's no special things happening. You just kill a lot of guys and sometimes a few tanks, and we'll talk about the tanks later when I find out in another mission how they actually work. But there's nothing else. There's no secrets, at least that I could find. Maybe playing different characters allows you to find different secrets, but Rico is just a one-man tank. I just run through things and fire as fast as I can, which this is not a modern day FPS. This is supposed to be a slightly slower pace, and I'm just charging right through. I don't give a shit because everything takes so long, and honestly, I'm complaining about the game taking a long time. I'm sorry, but it just took a long time. It was fun, just whatever. We get to the docks, and it's 4 or 5 of the same area over and over, slightly mazy with boxes everywhere. You have to find your way around and fight enemies the entire time. They're placed in different spots, but again, there's nothing special here. You just kill a bunch of dudes. And once you get to the end of it, Haka is looking up information on what's going on, and this is actually where we find out about the sabotage. It's just, I gave it away early, so spoilers. Well, this thing is fucking full of spoilers. Every video I make is full of spoilers. Don't expect anything less. What's even worse is after this cutscene with all this stuff happening, you go back to the fucking docks and go through it again, and then finally you get to the end of the mission. Well, when we finally do, we get to go to a foggy, knee-deep swamp where we trek through to try and get to the next area. And when we do finally get to that area, we get to a spot where the characters realize there is a base camp with lots of very strong soldiers. It's a very good battalion. And they decide at the last second, Rico's like, we should just barrel on through. And everyone's like, you know what? Actually, yeah, let's just go kill them all because that'll make it look like we're crazy, which, I mean, I guess it's crazy that the 4 of you are going to win this whole war. That's just how these games work. The next several sequences in the missions are just very boring. They're the same places over and over, the swamp, a base type area, this rocky type section, and you go through them several times trying to find a uplink to get up to the spaceship where the guy who sabotaged everything is, because you're trying to stop them and activate the defense system. But you just go through killing guys. There are very few objectives that require you to do anything other than walk forward and shoot. I don't know if it's because I'm playing Rico. I mean, I feel like it might be, but how is the mission that much different with the other characters? This is just killing a bunch of dudes in the same areas, and it's slightly mazy. You just kind of need to walk around and find the correct way to go, but there are no secrets. Again, there's no side areas. There's just kind of move forward and kill. We are eventually brought to a mission where there's lots of tanks kind of placed randomly, and you get this weapon that you can call a strike from the air down, and it will blow things up. So obviously you don't want to use anything but the tanks. So it's only useful for that. And this is where I found out that the tanks don't always blow up right away when you use this, and they're placed in such a way where you might have to use it more than once to get all 3 tanks. And here's the fun part about the tanks. Sometimes you don't know if they're blown up. They just kind of look dirty and rugged anyway, and there's a bunch of smoke around, so you can't quite tell. Well, when you're walking by one that hasn't blown up, it will shoot you and almost kill you. Your screen will turn white, and that's how you know it's the tank. There's really only one time that happens. However, you can't really fucking tell which tank it is, and they don't move, and they also have no animation of firing. Look at this. This is weird. The next area is a jungle, which is pretty cool, and it looks nice. It's a little boring, but then it very quickly gives way to a battlefield where there are enemies hunkered down in. Further into the area, you actually get to do something slightly different. You pick up 3 mines and you place them on these special little orange circles, and that's it. 3 times. You do it 3 times. It's very difficult, engaging, and different. Anyway, you head into these little bunkered areas where you kill some guys, and you end up clicking on a screen to help find out where the uplink actually is, and you get this wonderful dialogue from Rico and Haga.
The way you act is like, my mother's bra size.
Well, I'm guessing large.
Is that not an insane thing for Rico to say? I don't think this guy has ever admitted to knowing everything. He just has a lot. He's a fucking spy. He's supposed to know some stuff. The cutscene at the end shows us this guy who is betraying humans. He's lost his mind very, very quickly. The build-up to it was so short and did not feel necessary. This just feels weird that he's so quickly losing his mind. But if we were to suspend disbelief, he ends up killing this guy by slamming his head over and over into the desk. Like, it's not this guy's fault. I don't understand. Why is he needs to take it out on someone, not his, not himself, not his own wiener. We finally get close to the uplink, and it's heavily fortified. There are lots of Helghast, including some of the more tough Helgans who have lots of health and are surprisingly just tough. I didn't realize it was going to take so long to kill them. And at the end, we get to a cutscene where we fight one of the Helgan lieutenants who has been running this whole operation of invade Earth and have this guy make the defenses not go up so they can get in easily, and that's why they're winning. Well, we actually kill him. Well, Haka kills him in this very intense emotional exchange between these two, which honestly just kind of feels, kind of boring. Again, I'm sorry, but some of this stuff is just boring. So now we need a ship to go kill the guy who betrayed everyone, and we go through some snowy mountains and a small base where this ship is at. Again, we're just fighting. There are a lot more tough Helgans, and you get more access to different weapons. Up until this point, you have very few weapons to choose from. You'll want to keep the character's main weapon, especially if you're playing someone like Rico, because that weapon just has a lot of ammo, is super strong and super accurate. And now we finally get a chance to use the sniper rifle more, which we got to use at the beginning of the game and then haven't seen for the last 20 missions. We also get a choice to use the shotgun more often. We get more launchers. There's a pistol launcher. There's a rocket launcher. There's 2 rocket launchers and a grenade launcher. We get to start using these a little more often, which at least varies up the fighting. But again, it's still very much you walk into a room, they kind of flood in, and you kill them and move on to the next room where you walk in and they flood in and then you kill them. We secure and activate the ship that we get into to reach the satellite, and now we're fighting in outer space. Well, in a satellite in outer space. So nothing interesting happens. It's just another set piece for us to fight in. And as we get to near the end of the game here, we see the guy who betrayed us, and he says this just emotionally lovely line.
You don't stand a fucking chance!
Actually, we do stand a fucking chance. In fact, we kill everyone who's here, then kill this dude, and then watch a lengthy cutscene about the end of the game. And, of course, the character says, they're gonna send more fleets soon, aren't they? And the main character's like, yep, they're gonna, and we'll be there to stop them. Which, makes sense. They made a lot more Killzone games after this. They have lots of different games. So, this is the only one on PS2, though, I believe. If I'm wrong, whoops. But I'm pretty sure this is the only one on PS2. And there we go. We beat Killzone for PS2. Before we completely end it though, I did play a little bit of multiplayer. While you can't play it online, as far as I know, there's no way to play it online. Playing it offline is still fun. You can play it 2-player, you can have bots build teams, and you can play a couple different modes, and it's actually fun to put them on hard. It makes it a little challenging. It was a lot more fun to play the multiplayer through that one match than it was to play through the end of the game. It was just, taking too long. But this was challenging, and I had to move fast, and computer players can kill you very quick, especially on hard. Their accuracy is very high, so it was pretty fun. I recommend playing a little bit if you want to do something. And they also have this war theater that just shows the AI, I assume on easy, running around a battlefield fighting, and it's really weird. And the camera hops around and finds someone to follow, and then they just die, and then it hops around to the next person. And it takes so long, you miss a lot of the action. So I'm not really sure what the war theater is supposed to be doing. But there we go. It was an okay game. I think it was just too long. Otherwise, it was just a middle-of-the-line PS2 game that you can recommend if you want to play an FPS that isn't half bad. But here is the end. If anyone liked the shorter video length, I mean, the game took me 7.5 hours, a little over, to beat. I just didn't want to spend so much time doing everything. So if you like the shorter video length for this challenge, because really the challenge is about beating the games and just kind of having fun talking about it, let me know. If you like the longer one, which one would you rather see? Would you rather see a longer one like GTA 3, or would you rather see the shorter ones like this one and the Two Towers? Because, I want to make things that people are enjoying. I don't mind making either one, but it felt like to me the longer ones they take so long to watch. I mean, even this is kind of filler. You don't have to watch this part. So let me know what you think about it, because I do like the editing at the beginning. There's a lot more of it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. On to the guessing game. All right, here's the guessing game. What game does the Midjourney AI depict I will play next? Can you guess? Also, this is the time where I talk about little silly things. Still no baby, if you can imagine. Probably be here soon, but I keep saying that. Just, it's gonna happen. It's kind of hard to tell. They measure how far along the baby is, and it can be off by like 30 days. So, wonderful. That's so pinpoint accuracy. I'm sure my baby has a calendar, and they're like, I'm coming out on September 21st, and she doesn't tell anyone. So maybe she should, throw a cup with a string out and I'll listen to it. Tell me what it is. Anyway, so just prepare yourselves. It's still possible. But here's the next game. What is it? Guess, and I hope you enjoyed the video.